Hello, hi, can you see me? Hello, I'm Chris Mullins and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters. And I mentioned in the unboxing of Core Quest a couple of days ago that I was expecting a few big deliveries. And getting home from work on December the 29th was like Christmas morning all over again because I had 3 big cardboard boxes full of beautiful contents. And I was just so excited to dive into everything. And I cannot wait to unbox it. So tonight I will be focusing on Into Deep from Burnt Island Games. We've also got Lizard Wizard by Forbidden Games here with the premium components as well, along with this infamous big black box of death, Kingdom Death Monster 1.6. These two will be getting filmed probably straight after and will be uploaded over the next week or so. But I will just try and get these out of the way for tonight. I'm so excited by all of these. Oh, let's move the big one. Where on earth I'm going to store that beast, I don't know. But I wanted to start with this one because it's probably the one I've seen talked about the least out of these three, certainly. And I think I remember even during and after the campaign, Alex of Board Game Co. during his brilliant wrap-up videos and back or not to back videos and things covered this one and mentioned how it wasn't really catching fire, wasn't gaining the traction of Burnt Island Games' typical campaigns, like in the Hall of the Mountain King, for example, which really surprised me because I thought it looked fantastic. I love the artwork. I think, to be honest, out of the three, the box art is the most attractive. I think the sort of foil lining on the title makes it really stand out and really beautiful. Of course, that is a subjective opinion. Lizard Wizard has absolutely stunning artwork, and obviously Kingdom Death is very simplistic and minimal in the box art itself, although the lantern art on the back is gorgeous. But again, that minimalistic style is very, very attractive in its own right. But let's dive into Deep. And, this is maybe one that highlights my inexperience and naivety in terms of mechanics when backing a game, because from the way it was described and how I interpreted it from, again, largely from the Board Game Co videos as well as the campaign page itself, it sounds like you're getting your agents, they're undercover, you're moving them around the city and trying to get evidence and take it to the right districts in order to, solve a crime. And it kind of, to me, felt like Cluedo, but Cluedo in a proper game. And Cluedo will always be one of my favourites from a huge nostalgia perspective, so bringing that into like a AAA production board game is always going to excite me. So we've got the flavor text. It is the year 2087. A global criminal organization known as the Syndicate has set its sights on New Dawn City, a crumbling former utopia that is the perfect target for its network of cyber-enhanced underlings. You work for a secret agency devoted to defeating the Syndicate, and your scientists have finally discovered a way to turn the Syndicate's advantages against them. Using an experimental technology, your team can infiltrate the minds of Syndicate criminals, observing and even influencing their activities as you gain more skill. To gather intel on Syndicate methods and evidence to foil their final plot, you'll need to manipulate their operatives as they commit crimes around the city. But the more dangerous you allow them to be, the more corrupted you may become. You'll have to balance your approach. Too safe and you risk losing the city. Too reckless and you risk losing your soul. In the end, one of you will betray us all. You just don't know it yet. And that nods to the whole mechanic that you're undercover, you're going into deep, and there's obviously a measurement system in the game of how deep you have gone undercover, and the person who's gone the deepest at the end of the game has basically lost their soul, as it says in the flavor text there, and you lose a chunk of points for being in too deep. Now, obviously, depending on the point gap between you and second place, you may still do enough to actually win the game, but it's that risk v reward. Do you play it conservative to make sure you don't go in too deep, or do you go all out and hope that the gap is big enough that you still win? Again, I love the sort of city layout that you can see in the rulebook, because it's obviously modular, so it can change each time. The artwork is really cool, very noir style. And I really like the layout of the rulebook. It looks really nice. Apologies if you're getting a lot of glare off the light. I'm trying to minimize it as best I can. So yeah, complete story crimes. Display the crime, so that's how I guess you show that you've completed it. You're gaining evidence and then trying to solve the final plot. All looks very cool. Yeah, end game, find out who went in too deep, who was the most corrupt agent. The player with the lowest final corruption gets a bonus, and the player with the highest has gone in too deep and will suffer a penalty, but only if the final plot was foiled. Oh, okay. So if the final plot isn't foiled, then you don't get a penalty. Interesting. And there's a solo mode. I always forget there's solo modes, but that's always helpful for learning the game. And a handy reference guide on the back there. Obviously, this is the Kickstarter expansion, so we've got the Crackdown mini expansion with another character, the Sentinel, and some extra wrinkles to the gameplay, which are always welcome. Plenty of bags. We've got the bases for the figures, which are very nice. Make it a lot easier to identify who you are playing as, because that can sometimes be an issue with minis. I'm assuming this is, again, player reference cards with the iconography of everything that's going on, although they are slightly different. Okay, interesting. A few more bags. We've got these beautiful minis here. So we've obviously got the Sentinel, who's going to be the one for the mini expansion. Some really nice detail on these. Oh, he looks very cool indeed. He's like got an electrified rope. Oh, almost looks like, oh God, now I'm blanking on the name. Star Wars robot, 6 arms. All the lightsabers. Doesn't like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh God, I can't believe I'm blanking on that. Oh, that's very cool. Very dynamic. Runner. Oh, it looks like a sorceress. I didn't expect sort of mystical elements. That's sort of the archetypical sort of ninja katana sword, like shadow character. Sort of engineer type. And I like that they've got the engineer as a female, so that obviously typically your female characters would be more like the rogue here, which is smaller, fast-paced. So having a sort of burly, powerful female character is very cool. This one looks like Deadshot, with I guess the eye patch and the mask makes it look very similar. Oh, this one, she has a jetpack by the look of it. And a very cool Mohican. General Grievous. I know it'd come to me eventually. I mean, I know he's augmented with an outfit and everything, but yeah, with a massive great railgun by the look of it. But he does look like General Grievous to me. And that's a very funky helmet. Almost looks like the Splinter Cell helmet, but back on backwards. It looks very cool indeed. And the final one looks a bit more sensible, kind of like a mob boss really, but no bells and whistles. And then we've got the Kickstarter exclusive mini turrets. And these are used to mark territories in the city where crimes have already been committed, so making it more risky to commit further crimes there. We've got these very cool screen printed player tokens. One for each player, obviously. They look very, very cool indeed. I love the artwork. It's a very, very different game to anything else that's in my collection as well, because I don't really have anything. Social deduction generally doesn't appeal to me. I'm assuming these are the gold bits that the turrets replace. And whilst this isn't strictly like social deduction, it's more sort of manipulating and puzzle solving and things. But it does give me that sort of similar vibe. And it's probably as close to social deduction as I will get in my collection, unless somebody happens to gift me one, because they just typically don't appeal. I'm not one who enjoys lying in games, I don't think. Which will be interesting when Chris and I finally sit down to play the semi-co-op of Nemesis, because obviously depending on your goals you may well have to lie in that. And we've got a whole variety of cards. I'm guessing these are probably to do with missions, and these sort of giving the items and the evidence that you need, or perhaps it is just identifying the items, who knows. Till I dive in a bit more, that's obviously highlighting the characters. And I am definitely looking to get this to the table and feature a gameplay on the channel. I'm hoping this will be one of the next 3-player titles we do after Nemesis, because, well, particularly this and Lizard Wizard, out of the 3 that we've shown so far, I get the feeling that those 2 are going to play much better at 3 or above because of the mechanics. In terms of Lizard Wizard having the auction mechanic and everything, that's always going to be more interesting at higher player count. And with this one, in terms of seeing who goes in too deep and manipulating the city and everything, it's again going to be a bit more chaotic with more people, which I think will be more enjoyable. So it might take a bit longer to get these to the channel. These, I'm guessing, are going to be your abilities for each character. So yeah, you must be in zone with other criminals. Oh no, these are actually your side crimes. So these are the crimes. So you must be holding an item adjacent to a zone with exactly 1 loose item, and then swap the 2 items, and that effectively solves a side crime. You must be opposite a totally empty zone, move to that zone. And then we've got the main sort of missions. Prison break. I guess these are the story missions, so you've got different levels, I think, and different stages of each quest, of each crime, and you're basically working your way through the stages, getting the evidence in order to move your way through the crime and eventually foil it. Which I think the story element is really interesting, because again, I'm not too familiar with it. Obviously I read it on the campaign, but I tend to avoid gameplay videos and things until I've got the game myself, because I get excited enough. I don't need to be hyped up by gameplay. But again, lots and lots and lots of potential crimes here. So the replayability is going to be huge. Reap what we say, become a god 3. Okay. Candidate, cash flow. So the characters, we've got the ghost, the mechanic, the persuader. That was an electric rape. That is very cool. The drone jack. The fixer, the disruptor. He looks even more like General Grievous in that, with that colour scheme. The jumper with a jetpack, the smuggler, the scourge, and the sprinter. Admittedly, out of all this sort of job roles, the sprinter probably sounds like, well, I suppose the sprinter and the jumper don't sound particularly fancy, do they? But I imagine they will translate to the gameplay really well. And then we have our big bag, crinkly bag of goodies. So we've got our modular cityscapes. So we've got the riverside, the towers, Zimbazar, downtown, the blocks, the parish, Ion Heights and the Skyport. Again, I think the artwork on those is absolutely stunning. And obviously with the modular aspect, you have a different layout every time, different crimes. So again, it's just going to combine differently every time you're playing, different characters with different abilities. The replayability looks initially like it's going to be off the charts. I'm guessing these are your standard player boards. Yeah, I guess they're obviously assigned a character on the back, but there's no real different on the front. Bag is very crinkly, so apologies for that. No idea what that one is for. I guess that's maybe the score tracker for measuring how deep you've gone. I'm guessing these are the Sentinel abilities and tokens related to the mini expansion. Very cool. And then we have all the punch boards, which are always fun to work through. What have we got underneath there? Like a little reference card, and again, maybe where you highlight your crimes, I'm not too sure. And then we've just got a variety of tokens, and I guess these are the alerts. Not sure what these sort of toxicity things will do. And these are going to be the items and things that you need to manipulate around the city in order to plant the evidence and things to solve the crimes. So lots and lots of very cool stuff in there. And that is In Too Deep by Burnt Island Games. And I hope you enjoyed looking at it as much as I did, because I am so excited to play this now. I think it looks stunning, and it's my first Burnt Island Games title, which is, again, something that I'm very keen to try out. And as I said, hopefully feature on the channel soon. So let me know if you want to see it. But thank you for watching. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye-bye now.